we've all heard of the saying, "It's not what you know, it's who you know," right? It's something that gets said all the time, and it almost kind of flippantly. But actually, there's some stats to back this up. Um, 84% of B2B decision makers start the buying process with a referral. That's a huge number. But I would say not that surprising because word of mouth is the oldest form of marketing. Back before AI driven spammy LinkedIn messages, back before cold calling, back before direct mail, back before even the written word, if you were a marine conservation charity, a performance coach, a marketing agency, um, and you wanted to spread the word about what you did, you had one thing available to you, and that was word of mouth. And so it speaks to our tribal natures to connect. And I think it's a society that has driven us into the more individualistic way of competition and working in that way, rather than our natural way to collaborate. And that bears fruit because in that same survey, only 30% of people actually had a formalized referral program. So, quick show of hands if that's okay. How many of you get referrals into your business at the moment? Okay. Pretty much everyone with their camera on. Wonderful. And if you've not got your camera on, that's completely fine. Feel free to raise virtual hands and all that wonderful stuff. How many of you would say you're asking for referrals? Okay. Oh, a good amount as well. Well done, you guys. That's a much higher percentage than I normally get. How many of you? How many would say of you would say you've got partners, people who are introducing you consistently? Yeah. Okay. Still a good number though, but kind of online with that 30%. Well, here's the kicker. Companies with formalized referral marketing, whether that's partners or whatever it may be, experience 86% more revenue growth. So I want you to imagine right now what having 86% more growth than 70% of the other companies out there would feel like, right? Because not only have you got more growth, when you're building through word of mouth, typically you're doing it with clients that you love working with because you attract the right partners that attract the right clients, which means sales cycles are shorter. It means there's a match in values. It means your work's more enjoyable, more impactful, and more profitable. Does that sound good to everyone? We'd all like a little bit more of that, right? Yeah, okay. So that's what we're going to focus on for the rest of today's. First of all, though, for those of you that haven't met me before, a little bit about who I am. I'm Dave. I'm a dad of 3. Oldest one's just turned 10. Youngest one's just turned 2. Middle one looked pretty much exactly like that photo when he was that age as well. I'm a lover of stuff, as you can see behind me, football and music and all that good, exciting connectivity stuff. But from a work point of view, my background's in business membership. I work for the Chamber of Commerce. You'll then see Business Scene up in the top corner there. That was a membership organisation that I ran, and we grew to 2,000 members almost entirely through strategic partnerships and referrals. I then ran a benefit business where I was responsible for providing leads to some of the big global brands you see here. And we had reach of about 1 million small business owners. So I formed hundreds of partnerships, reached and had lots of successes, right? But I've also made or witnessed lots and lots of mistakes along the way as well. And so in 2020, just before COVID, I formed Collaboration Junkie, where I help brands identify, nurture, and scale referral and partnership opportunities, putting a real life experience that I've got and helping other people kind of shortcut those mistakes and make the most of this amazing proven channel. So I've mentioned referrals and partnerships a couple of times. These are not dictionary definitions. They're just my definitions on how I operate. Referrals are your customers, your clients, your wider network, right? Wonderful things, can be quite organic. Partnerships, which we're going to talk about today, still focus on referrals, but these are relationships with businesses or individuals that have a synergy with you. So they have the capability to refer your ideal clients at the ideal time to buy on a consistent basis. And they have a vested interest in doing so. And that's the sorts of relationships we're going to work on today. Now, they're called strategic partnerships because you need a strategy behind them. My strategy is dance. And so the 5 steps from the title are the 5 steps for the framework. So today we're going to look at discovery. Who are your ideal partners and why would they want to work with you? A is assembly. What are the systems that we need to be able to support this structure? Nurturing. How do we nurture the partner relationships? What are the processes we need to make sure that we build really solid relationships? How do we help our partners connect us to their audience? How do we actually activate the partnerships? And then what's our strategy for going out there and engaging with new partners? So that's the 5 steps that we're going to run through today. And unless there's any questions, I am going to crack on. Right. One golden rule that kind of goes above everything else is about making it easy for your partners, right? This goes for referrals or partnerships. People are busy. Our minds are busy. Everything's busy, right? If you need to kind of calm your mind, you want to speak to Michael and listen to some of his podcasts. He does wonderful work. But we live in a busy, busy time, right? Which means if something isn't easy for someone to do, even if they want to do it, they'll put it on the I'll get round to it pile. I don't know about your I'll get round to it piles. Mine doesn't tend to kind of decrease that much. The easier you make it for someone to do something, the more likely they are to do it and do it when you want it and how you want it. So there's going to be a consistent theme here around us making it easy. The good thing for us when making it easy is when we're working with the right types of partner, it's something that's scalable. Because for us, it's a one-to-many thing. So let's crack on with the first step. Discovery. This is all about understanding who your ideal partners are. It doesn't mean that we don't work with anyone else. It just means that we can focus our time, efforts, energy on attracting the people that we know are ideal for our business. And there's a few things that we need to do this. This is, by the way, 1/5 of the framework, but 1/3 of the work that I do with people. By the way, on that note, this is going to be all value, this webinar. And if I do that for kind of 35 minutes, hopefully you'll let me spend 2 minutes right at the end talking about how I can support you if you want to know more. But yeah, this is really the bit that you need to crack. And there's a number of steps to this. The first one is about being specific. And there's 2 steps to this. The first step is, what type of partner are you looking for? So we're talking about lead gen. But are you early stage founder building a tech business and all you need is traction, right? You need just users at any cost so you can prove a model, right? That would be a different type of partner that you would be looking for than someone that's delivering you highly qualified leads that are about to pay for your particular service. So it's about really understanding what type of partners you're looking for. And you may even be looking for partners that you can refer work to. And that's fine. But be really clear about what it is you're looking for from a partner. Is it eyeballs? Is it profile? Is it highly qualified leads? Is it anyone who expresses a remote interest? Because that will shape the work and how you communicate with them. The next thing about being specific is about understanding who your ideal client is. Now, this is not a webinar on niching. I'm sure there's lots and lots you could find about that. So even if you're not ready to, not even niche, segment a certain chunk of your business full stop, I would encourage you to do so for the purposes of partnerships. Think about the clients that you work with, where you enjoy it the most, where it provides the biggest. Like, think about who you really, really want to be working with, because when the more specific you are about your client type, the easier it is to find the specific type of partner who serves that audience. And to do that, there is a very it's a simple 3-step strategy that you can use. There's a bit more to it than I can go into on a webinar like today, but a really simple thing to do, and I would encourage you to get out and do this, is first of all have a brainstorm. Come up with a big long list of, if you've got that ideal client in mind, what sort of business they are and what position they are in their business. Think about all the people that they speak to. Who else do they buy stuff from? Because they're the people. So who else shares that audience with you? And I would encourage you not to kind of say no to anything. Don't pre-qualify at this point. Don't put your brain in a no state. Just literally come up with a big long list, go out from a walk, get out from your desk. Just think of your target market. What are all the other things that they're buying? What services are they buying? What products are they buying? All that good stuff. Once you've got that list, you want to go through and look at who's got alignment. So if you're selling marketing services and you think that that your contact within a business is also buying accountancy, let's say, maybe not the best alignment, right? Because how often are marketing conversations coming up? Maybe they would with the right accountant, but you get the idea, right? Who on your list is likely to be having similar conversations where your product or services may come up? And then the final piece is authority. They might be having the right conversations, but are they in enough of a position of authority that them referring you in is actually going to hold any sway? So there's a really simple process where you can kind of run through. It may seem overly simplistic, but without fail, pretty much every person I work with, either one-to-one or my group programs, when we go through this piece, we'll knock off one partner that they thought was a good one, and there'll be a really left field solution that comes out that actually is an untapped kind of gold mine. So I'd really recommend you kind of go through this. Once you've got that kind of shortlist down, the next thing to think about is what's your customer value chain. And what I mean by this is has everyone heard the analogy of people don't buy a drill, they buy a hole in the wall? No, right. So there's this thing: people don't buy a drill, they buy a hole in the wall. And I would argue they don't even buy the hole in the wall; they buy the shelf being put up. And they're probably not even doing that. They're buying the satisfaction or the peace and quiet of said shelf being up. So you've got customer over here with a problem, you've got their ultimate solution over here, and then there is a value chain of people and businesses that they touch along the way. And you will be just one of those pit stops along the way. Your ideal partners are people that come just before you and overlap you on that value chain. They are the people that are going to be in a position to refer you consistently. People that come after you, you are much more likely to be able to refer them because they're the follow-on from what you do. So I'd really have a think about who kind of comes before you and overlaps you in your partner's journey, in your customer's journey. Because once you've got that, you can craft a really strong partner value proposition. And what this is different to your client proposition. This is why a partner would want to work with you. Because essentially, those people that you come after, what you're doing is you're helping them deliver the end result that they're ultimately going to get judged on. And let me give you a couple of examples just to try and kind of put some clarity behind it. Let's use Nicole, for example. Nicole does a whole lot of amazing marketing strategy for people, but ultimately she's going to get judged on results, not strategy. So if there is an element of that strategy that she isn't going to be delivering herself through her agency, she needs to find a good partner who can help deliver a particular campaign, because ultimately her clients are going to judge her on the results they get, not how well written her strategy was. I'm going to use websites, for example. If you go to, very few people go to a website builder because all they want is a well-coded website. They want a website that delivers an end result. So for copywriters, website builders are brilliant partners. But the copywriter, what they're not doing is writing good copy for your clients. The partner value proposition for the website builder is, we help you deliver websites that deliver the end result your client wants. And it's that little shift from talking in client language to partner language that will open up so many more conversations for you. When everything's framed that way, that we are here to deliver value to you as a partner, not just try and sell to your audience, it just frames everything like a real partnership, instead of you maybe coming across like you just want to get at someone's list. Is everyone okay with that kind of concept of partner value propositions? Yeah? Awesome. Honestly, it is the biggest bit of work that I would encourage you to go and do after this, because it will be game changing in how you approach everything. Okay, so once we understand who we want to partner with and why they would want to work with us, we then look at structuring. Now, there is the reason why I use this festival image, and not just because I love music, But it's because imagine you seeing the lineup for a new festival, right? Whatever sort of music you're into, the lineup is just crazy. There's a band that's reformed that said they were never going to reform. There's a best up and coming artist. There's some classics there. It's all killer, no filler. You are super excited to get there. But when you do get there, it's a nightmare getting in. The queues are massive. The ticketing system is awful. You get through and there's one bar and the queues are huge and the beer's rubbish. And then the bands start and the sound system's awful. But not only that, they're all out of sync, so you don't know who's on when. Now, because that festival didn't have the behind the scenes systems, no matter how good the lineup is next year, you're not going back because you've got no faith in their ability to deliver. And that's why getting the right systems for your partnership program is so crucial. It won't necessarily win you partners, but it's a thing that keeps you partners. And if you're going to put effort into building partner programs, then you want long-standing relationships. So there's a couple of, and it's all about building trust with your partners, which is crucial to maintain those relationships, and also setting yourself up to scale so that if this does go larger, then it doesn't break you. And it's about stages. It's about what do I need to do right now to deliver consistent service, and what do I need to do in the future if things really take off. So two particular things that I want to mention on this. First one's around tracking of data. Now, if you're not handling loads of leads, this is a lot simpler than if you're kind of got a high volume of leads inbound. But every single time someone makes an introduction to you, they are not just giving you a lead, they are trusting you with a little bit of their reputation. And it is vital that you treat that with the respect that it deserves. So if your partner or a referrer asks where someone that they've referred is in your journey, you're able to tell them. And it might seem basic, but not everyone does this. And when I was running my benefit business, we'd have partners who weren't able to do that. And it made me think one of two things. A, that they were a crook, that they hadn't lined it up properly and they didn't want to pay us commission. Or B, that they didn't know, so they were incompetent. And crook and incompetent are two looks that you really don't want to be having for your business when you're working with partners. So making sure that you've got a really good handle of where people are that have been handed to you is absolutely vital. Now, what I would say, you can pay thousands and thousands a month for really fancy partnership management software, or you can scribble it down on the back of a fag packet. It is better to have a spreadsheet that you use and a CRM system that you don't, but whatever you use it and use it consistently. The other thing that I would add in is around lead handling. So most of the time when we start off partnerships, plan for big things and we think world domination awaits. And often it's a bit more of a slow burn, but you want to plan for the best, because one of the key things, and again, it comes down to that trust piece, is how you handle the first impression of people as they come over to you. One of the big brands you saw on that early slide of people I worked with, I'll use an example. When we ran our membership organization, we had an offer with a partner for free sales data, and 100 records, a really good high quality sales data. And we were doing this to please our members, but we were putting it out to non-members as well as like an attraction tool. And we worked with the brand, we set it up all really nicely so that all someone had to do was click a button and off it went. And they promised us that they would respond to leads within 2 days. And we said, you sure? We're going to generate a load of inquiries. And yeah, it's fine. Big global brand. We generated like 500 inquiries over the 2 days of the campaign. And because of that, it took them 2 weeks to get back to people, not 2 days. And so instead of happy members and prospect burning up our phone lines to join, we had pissed off people, right? And that partnership never, ever recovered because our trust in them had just deteriorated. So make sure you've got the systems in place to be able to cope with whatever kind of leads are going to be coming your way. The other thing around the systems is the structure of your partnerships. And the one thing I'm going to cover on this is paying partners, right? For me, if you're looking at client referrals, it's a really, really grey area, whether you pay people or not. And for most, you can turn them off by kind of over incentivizing. For me, in partnerships, I would recommend commercial arrangements Obviously, there's some sectors where this just doesn't work because of regulations and things like that. But while main reason your partners will want to work with you is the value proposition, having commercial relationships in place just elevates it from a friendly handshake to something more formal. That's kind of, it also survives individuals leaving. It becomes something that's more embedded. What that can look like, for me, if you've got a recurring revenue product, then it's a percentage of that recurring revenue. I'm a big fan of lifetime value because I'd rather have 90% of something than 100% of nothing. But I've seen plenty of partnership programs where it drops down. It's 10% in first year or year one, and then 5% for years 2, 3, or ongoing projects. There's also a really lovely clause which I often put in, which is while you're an active referrer, and you can an active partner, and you can decide what that means. Is it a number of leads they've given you, or if your partners are still really involved in the relationship, well, they're playing an active role in keeping that client with you, kind of thing. But I am a believer in kind of putting those in place. I'd say there's only one golden rule when it comes to what you do here, and that is it has to feel fair and equitable to both parties. So if this is a stumbling block for you, then a really nice tactic to get it out, the stumbling block kind of out in the open, is to bring it open. Don't hide from the fact that this is typically something that can be quite an awkward conversation. And you can recognize that. Go, right, this might be a bit of an awkward one, but should we have the conversation around what this looks like commercially? I know it can be awkward, but it's probably better to get out of the way. And if you do that, you'll physically see the other people in the room, virtual or not, kind of relax and go, oh, they've made it okay to talk about this now. But get it out early and see what people want to do. Some people may not want to receive them. That's fine. What you can do that's really nice, you can put it into a charity pot. So like, well, I've got this 10% or 15% anyway. It can go to a charity pot. And if you align that to something that you do, a purpose, then again, that can become even more powerful. So Rondi, with you, for example, if you had partners that didn't want to do that, you could still put it in place because it has the same effect of formalizing it, but it goes down the sustainability angle, right? I'm sure Francesca would love to have to talk to you about what that could look like. So it just helps solidify that piece. The other thing on this as well is some partners, particularly if they're in a membership community space, may want an offer for the people they're referring in. So it's just about understanding how much margin have you got in your product or service, and then how does that get apportioned out? Okay. Any questions on that? Wave a hand if they are. I can't look at the chat because I'll get too distracted. So if you've got a particular question on this, you can wave or shout. Rondi, yes.
How do you deal with the customer comments on like that, the ick with the customer knowing that you're a referred business, and that you know there's a profit or some exchange of something? What's your response to that?
So in most sectors, customer doesn't need to know, right?
What if they ask?
In accountancy, they have to do it. If they ask, then I would tell them. People rarely ask. I feel comfortable with it, and I'm going to suggest everyone on this call should do as well, because I have got, even those that I don't know yet, I'm sure you're good people, I know that I'm not referring any business because I'm getting commission. I'm referring business because I believe that business is the right one for the person I'm referring them to. And I make hundreds of referrals where there's no commission involved whatsoever. But if I'm regularly referring someone because they're a nice time with what I do, I don't see any harm in that piece, because it's a cost of sale for the other business. It's like they're paying me for marketing services, right? It's so if the customer asks, I would be upfront and honest about it. I'd maybe depending on how well you know the customer, you could offer to do it as a discount for them. You could go, I owe you lunch. Yeah, I'll get a little back for that. We can spend some of that. Like, do you know what I mean? You can flip it other ways, but I think you're probably worrying about a situation that will very rarely happen. I have never been.
It happened. That's the problem.
Oh, okay, right, okay. And how did you deal with it?
I have room for improvement, I'd say. I think we did say, well, we do have an arrangement with them, and it is a business arrangement, and kind of left it, but I'd like a better answer.
Yeah, so
going
what I would
forward.
do, so
So
I would do that very answer, but say we only put that in place though because we'd been referring to each other for years because they're so good, and then we decided to formalize the relationship to protect it from individuals leaving and everything else. So I think there's nothing, because you weren't referring that person only because of the commission, were you? You
no,
referred them
no,
because
no, someone referred to us
yeah,
and then they asked us, what's the financial deal? No,
yeah,
no. So it's all go, I think it'll go
the
ahead.
other
We're
way.
in process, so
Yeah.
fingers crossed. But
Oh, it was the other way
it
round.
was
Right.
a,
Yeah. So I
yeah,
would still be honest. I would still be honest and come back to that thing of the reason why we're partners is because of our shared values and because we like each other's, because of our levels of service. We've just put it in place to formalize it.
yeah, fair enough. Good one. Thank you.
No worries at all. Right. So we know who we're partnering with. We've got the right structures in place. So we are on to how we communicate with our partners. And this is all about building relationships. So it's the bit that should be the most enjoyable. One of the great things about working collaboratively is it's more enjoyable, right? We're here for a good time, not a long time, and we spend a lot of that time at work. So let's make it as fun as we possibly can. And particularly in the SaaS space, there can be a tendency to over automate partnerships. Like, oh, we don't need to talk to our partners; they got all the support they need to hear, and they can get live info, and that is great. But never forget that at the core of a partnership is a human relationship. It's about people. It's I'm not in any way anti AI or automation, but in the age of AI, automation, and algorithms, the one game that is completely within your control is how you build and leverage personal relationships, and that's what partnerships are at the core of. So, and there's different reasons to be communicating with your partners, and there's different styles as well. So some of the reasons are functional. It's about keeping people up to date with what's going on with their leads, and that stuff absolutely can be automated. You can give them live access. You can do templated emails. You can give people regular updates of this is how many people we've had from you this month, and this is where they are on our journey, and all that great stuff. But the most important ones in my mind are around how we really form tight relationships. And I want to touch on just 3 key things that I see people not necessarily do as much of as they should. So the first one is about setting expectations with partners. This should come before your onboarding. This should come before you agree to be partners. And it can be quite counterintuitive because you're having wonderful conversations. Everything's exciting. You're going to take over the world and do amazing things. I mean, take over the world in a good way rather than kind of Bond villain, nefarious way. But you're going to do massive, massive things. Actually coming back and trying to calm it down and go, right, where are we actually at here? Can be counterintuitive, feel wrong, but it's the best thing to do. Because long-term expectations, if you're just 5% out in your thinking at the start, over time, that gap gets kind of bigger and bigger. And suddenly a year down the line, you're like, oh, this isn't where I thought it was going to be. And it's because you didn't clarify the long-term expectations at the start. Because they could be different. It could range everything from, if this goes really well, we're going to form a full joint venture or a new company or joint product and all this sort of stuff. But it could also be that your partner that within the 3 years or 2 years, they might want to bring your services in-house. Now that is absolutely fine, but wouldn't you rather know that at the outset? Maybe you'd even support them to do that. So understanding what the long-term expectations are is really important. You've then got I don't really think there is midterm. You've then got the kind of the ongoing expectations, which is what does this actually look like in a practical sense? What activities are we both going to undertake to make this work? Getting a marketing plan in place, which we're going to come on to in a sec. All that stuff, get it down. This and also what results are we expecting to achieve? It's not there to beat people over their head with, but it's what does success look like? I love that question. I also love the even better question is what does wild success look like? So what are we expecting to get from this partnership, and what would be really spectacular, right? Ask the question, because then you know. And then the other one that people often miss is short term, immediate expectations. What can we do to just get going? I have had so many partnership conversations back in my membership days where we were working with massive, massive brands, but then they saw so much scope of work to do with us that we didn't get going. And then because we didn't get going immediately, someone would get pulled off to another project, and it would just never start, and it fizzled out. So actually, just finding the easiest thing you can do with a partner just to get going is a really important thing to do. And there's one of two things. Other than the momentum building, which is vital, it also gives you a chance to see what they're really like to work with. Because if they're an absolute nightmare and don't do the easy thing and don't put you in front of their audience, are they ever really going to be a partner? It can save you an awful lot of time and hassle of thinking, and kind of a mental torment when this partner that was going to change your business suddenly doesn't want to do anything with you, by just doing something little first and building from there. So set expectations and document them. It could be a partner agreement. And by partner agreements, I don't mean pages and pages of legal stuff. I mean a working framework of this is what we're going to do together. It could just be an email that goes, hey, Julie, this is what I thought we agreed. Is that right? And then Julie sends me back, yeah, absolutely, Dave. Really excited to get going. That's your partner agreement. It's something to refer back to. Keep your partners informed. Touched on this. Kind of don't leave your partners wondering what's going on with their reputation from the referrals they've made. Like, proactively let them know what's going on, be that a monthly report, monthly email, whatever it may be. And please, if there is an issue with an introduction your partner has made, either in the prospect stage or the customer stage, get in touch with your partner. Make sure they hear it from you rather than the shared client. Absolutely. And then the third one, and this comes back to what I was saying about reviewing expectations, have strategic reviews. Because the flip side of over automated partnerships is also we talk to our partners daily because things are so busy. And that's great. But if you're talking to them daily, you're typically talking transactional, not strategic. If you take the time out to have strategic meetings with your partners, magic happens. So I would say try and make them fun. Think of it like if you would take your clients out to lunch, take your partners out to lunch, get them in a more relaxed environment if you can. But you can review those expectations. If things are going better than expected, why? What's gone well? What can we do more of? If they're not quite hitting the heights, again, why? What can we do to support? You can ask them what you could be doing better. It's the sort of little niggles that someone wouldn't pick up the phone and talk to you about. But if you put them in a more relaxed environment, they go, oh, there is this little thing. And then that's great because you can fix it. But for me, the best thing about strategic reviews is the ability to be curious, to be genuinely curious about what's going on with your partners in their world. Because curiosity is the birthplace of opportunity. And so by being genuinely curious, they'll talk about, oh yeah, we've got this thing going on. Because I'm sure we've all had conversations with clients or trusted people on our network who've gone, oh yeah, I'm just doing this thing with this person. And you go, oh, I did that. We do that. Don't you know that? And they go, oh no, did you? I'd have come to you. And you think, yeah, you know I do that because I've told you about it 5 times before. But because you weren't top of mind, they just didn't. And having strategic reviews allows you to kind of just find out what's going on in their world and allows you to uncover more opportunity for you, uncover more opportunity for others, which still shows you in a position of value, and just get to know them better, right? Being genuinely curious is one of the most wonderful things we can do in the world, I believe. So, and strategic reviews allow the framework for that. And I would build that into your expectations, that we meet quarterly, biannually, whatever it may be, to discuss how things are going. Okay, so we've got our processes in place, we've got our structure in place. Now the key thing is still to make it happen, and the connection is this is where it ties it all together. Because quick show of hands, who's had partnerships or introducer arrangements before which promised the world and then just never really delivered? Yeah, Rondi straight there. Yeah, a few people, right? Now, quite a lot of the time, this won't be them, it'll be you. Unfortunately, I'm sorry to say. And it's because Rondi, the shock on Rondi's face there. It's because all that good stuff that enables you to know exactly when and how to pitch your product, guess what? It's not common sense. It's experience. It's your experience of knowing your product and service and when and how to position it. Your partners don't have that experience, and so you need to give the benefit of your experience to them. And this happens in one of two ways. First one's partner facing, and so particularly important where your partners have a team of people, because you may be talking to the head of a business who absolutely gets what you're about. They're another entrepreneur, but if their team are the people that are going to be delivering it, well, then maybe they're not quite so switched on. So how can you support them? How can you help them to understand what to listen out for, when the right time to refer you is? It could be a stage in business. It could be a situation someone's in. Like, what training and support can you provide them? And if you really want to take this to the next level, you want to try and productize a little bit of what you do. And this can be tricky, particularly for people that have kind of quite broad offerings. Like Neil, I imagine your kind of stuff, no one project's the same, but you have a process that you go through, right, Neil? And it's about what part of what you do it may be something that you would do for a prospect anyway, right? A bit of advice or a report or a review. What bit of your service that happens as early as possible in your own customer journey, could you package up in such a way that your partners are able to insert it into their own customer journey? Because if you've got your value proposition right at the start, your partners want to refer you. They want to get you in front of their audience, because essentially you're going to help them deliver a better end result. And so if you can make it really easy for them to proactively refer you in, you become part of their process. And that's when the magic really happens, because your partners don't even have to think about referring you. It's just what they do. And that's when magic really starts to happen. The other side of this, customer facing. Look, there's probably 100 words you could add to that little word soup thingy there. The important thing here is to look at what you already do that you know is good, works and attracts people, but also ask your partners, what are they doing for their audience? Do they have you might not be doing written pieces, but actually if they've got a blog site or a newsletter that gets thousands of views, write an article or get someone else to do it for you. You might not like public speaking, but if they've got an event that's really engaged and whatever partners rock up on it, get a load of business, get brave, do public speaking. Like, speak to your partners about what activities they're doing and then support them. Because if you support them well enough, you can become whoever's doing the marketing in your partner's business, whether it's a solo business and it's them, or whether they've got a marketing department, you can become the marketing person's best friend. Because every bit of content you provide them is one other bit that they don't have to write themselves. It's something different that they can put out to their audience that still adds value, but isn't them banging the same old drum. So yeah, really think about how you can add value. And coming back to the make it easy thing, if you're providing content, make it cut and pasteable for your partners. So one of the partners that was on that early slide, I won't name them by names, but it's a big digital business that once had a big thick book that was a bright color that came through your door. Their marketing director probably had a bigger salary than our business was turning over, but their marketing department was huge. We were sending emails out for them weekly, but every single time they sent us something, it was written as though they were sending it direct out to their list, not a third party was doing it. So we would have to edit the content and then send it back to them for approval. That was the worst thing. So this was like a weekly thing. Here's our email. Oh no, we can't do it like that. Have it back, approved. Just used to annoy us. And you do not want your partners annoyed. If it hadn't been for the fact that it was a very nice partnership for us and a pillar of our business, we probably would have looked for another partner. But if you want people to send stuff out when you want them to send it and how you want them to send it, make it as easy as possible as you can for them to do so. So once you've got all of that stuff in place, who you're partnering with, the systems, the process, the mechanisms to engage with it, it's time to go out there and find more partners. Now, I think this is easier than it may seem. And the first step comes to being easy on yourself. Particularly if you're just starting out on your partner journeys, your ideal partner at outset is not the one that's going to change your business, because that partner probably is going to take you too long to get on board. They're probably not going to be very forgiving with you if it's a new partner program, and they could break you, right? So early partners are typically people where you can kind of test and measure a little bit, can be a little bit not super slick, and you can make things work, and you can kind of build some social proof and then build your partner programs out from there. And to do that, there's a couple of key things. Remember your partner value proposition. You should never it should never feel like you're pitching a partnership opportunity. You may need to lead the conversation, but it feels like you're pitching, you probably are, to stop. You've either not quite got the value proposition right, or if it's worked with others, they're just not the right person. They don't get it, right? And that's fine. Not every conversation is going to go well. But remember to lead with the value proposition piece around how you add value to them. And in terms of handling those conversations, use your network. So for most of us, we will have potential partners already within our network. And if it feels a bit icky going out and asking them to be partners, ask them for help instead. Hey Krista, I'm just building out a partner program, and I wonder if I could ask you for a bit of help. You're right within my target partner demographic, and I'd love you to take a look over it and let me know if I'm kind of on track. Krista's probably saying yes to that because most people are nice people and they want to help, and I've stroked her ego because I've said I value her opinion. Now, a few things happen there. I get great feedback from Krista. And then what happens is she either says she wants to be a partner, or if she doesn't, for whatever reason, maybe the relationship's too close, she probably knows other people like her that she can refer me to. And that's the other thing around using your network, is look for introductions to partners, because Rondi's on my my referral program at the moment, and making it easier about asking for referrals for clients. But the easiest thing is to ask referrals for partners. Because if you've got your partner value proposition right, there is no sell involved. You're like, can you introduce me to this person? Because there's an amazing shared opportunity here. And so people will make those introductions all day long because there is no sell involved whatsoever. And for most of us, that's how we start our partner programs. We work with people where the know, like, trust bit comes from our network. And then as we work with those partners, the trust bit comes from the social proof of working with other partners. So be really clear on who your ideal partners are and what your value proposition is. Have the systems behind the scenes so that you can deliver the service consistently and build trust with your partners. Communicate with them in a way that maintains and builds on the relationship to something really enjoyable and impactful. Give them all the tools they need to actually connect you to their audience. Don't be passive. And then, put all that together, and actually going out there and using your network to find your partners becomes much, much easier. Right, 2 minutes, and then I'll get on to Q&A. Look, if this is something that sounds great, but you're like, there's a lot of work there, and you want a bit of accountability, then my Kick-Ass Collaboration Program is ideal for that. We work through that dance framework. That's a 140-page framework. That's a whistle-stop tour of it, and actually get stuff done. There's that document and an action plan, so you know what to do when, that supports it. It's a group program, so you get the support of a group and then me as well. There's a maximum of 8 business owners on there, so it is still highly, highly personalized. It's a 6-month program, so it's 2 live sessions a month. The content typically takes the first 4 months, and then it's 2 months of accountability and putting it into practice. But typically people are forming partnerships all the way through, and we do the work in the sessions, right? We get 80% of the work done in the sessions. You've just then got to go and implement, essentially. If there's a process to be written, we write it in the session. You've just got to then go and implement it. It's £400 a month for 6 months, plus VAT. Kicks off June the 27th. So look, if you're everyone this will be cohort 5. Everyone that's been through it is now forming effective partnerships that far exceed the ROI. I mean, what's one customer worth to you? So what's one partner that delivers multiple customers worth to you, and multiply that out? I can't make guarantees. I'm not going to promise a 10x your business or any of that rubbish, but I will promise that if you work with me, I'll make sure you get this stuff right. And so if it's something you think will make an impact in your business, it's well worth jumping on board. Of course, and then I also do tailored support. So typically larger businesses, a different price point on that one. And if that's something of interest, then get in touch. Right, I will put some links in the chat in a second. Where we go? Stop share. Ding, ding, ding. Any questions? None. Stunned into silence. Even Rondi hasn't got a question, which is saying something.
That is saying something. I have a question for you. Like obviously
Yes.
there's a lot here, and I know you also have another one coming up about referrals.
Yeah.
It's a very general question, and you don't know our business. But in general, for a B2B business or a product business, so it's a project business, so it's not many clients at one time, but
Yeah.
large value. Where would you first focus your effort, on referrals or on partnerships?
Referrals is the quickest win.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're not doing referrals now, then you've got a bank of credit, right? If you're offering a good service to your clients, which I'm sure you are, and you're not doing it right now, then you've got a bank of goodwill. They're ready and waiting to happen. So,
yeah, so we've grown for the last 6 years based on referrals, but those have kind of naturally tapered out, kind of, as you end up working with the same people and stay in the same little
yeah,
group.
Okay.
So they've kind of naturally, not, yeah,
And
naturally.
have your referrals been organic? It's a chance to give it its official
Yes.
title. People like to
Yeah.
use organic because it makes them feel better, but it's chance. Okay, so there is still probably a bank of goodwill around being intentional. That if you actually were intentional about your strategy and asked your clients, then they would have this whole other network of people that they potentially could introduce you into. So I would say, but if you've been going 6 years, then maybe it's the right time to focus on that partner thing. So you get potentially quicker wins with referrals, but partnerships is the partnerships is the compound thing. More work to set up, but every relationship you bring on board brings with it its own leads, and so it's a real huge compound effect. So so it depends on where you are in a business in terms of, I need leads in the next 3 months, or actually we're doing all right here, let's build something that's going to really take our business to the next level.
Thank you.
No worries at all. Anyone else? Oh, Ripley, couldn't quite hear you there. Is it just me, or is Ripley like echoey? I'm getting nods on echoey, so I'm not. Ripley, put it in the chat, Ripley, if that's all right, and then I can. Luke, yes, go for it.
It might be a bit specific to me, so if it is, just tell me to shut up, and I'll ask you directly without boring everyone else. But at the moment, I'm building a bit of a. Sorry, I came up with a little error message there, and I'm hoping I don't disappear. At the moment, I'm building a bit of a sort of a partner network for my current business to be able to refer our clients out to support services. How do you go about, and where do you start with finding the right ones? I mean, I'm talking beyond the point of just finding people who are good, finding people who are then going to collaborate backwards towards your own business, because we're not intending it to be a financial reward that we pass this.
Oh, cross referral relationships. Oh, right.
Because there's an element that, like, we get something out of this relationship because we're useful.
Yeah.
And we become that kind of the stake in the ground for these businesses. We're like, well, let's just keep going back to Luke because he knows everyone. And at some stage, we just hope and pray that they'll come back to us for that support.
Okay. And what is your business, Luke?
It is generic business growth strategy.
Okay.
Right. I say generic, that sounds really crap, but you know, it's
yeah. I'm sure you've downplayed the amazing work you do for your clients, Luke.
Yeah. If I'm selling to you, I'll sell it better. But
yeah. So you are in a more general space that makes it a bit easier, right? So the reason why I say I'm not a big fan of cross referral relationships is because that thing I said about the customer value chain, right? It's much harder for people to refer upstream than it is downstream. So it's rare for the referrals to be an even split, right? But it would be the same principle. It would be going, but maybe you look a little bit both ways. If they're too far down the chain, they're never going to be able to pass stuff up.
I mean, exactly. Realistically, I'm not expecting a great deal back, but I don't particularly fancy. Essentially, what I'm trying to say is, should I just make my peace with the fact that at some stage we'll be recognised with a thank you bunch of flowers and maybe a bottle of beer?
I would say
just helping a business out.
I would say make your peace with it. Absolutely.
Thanks.
But equally, that doesn't mean it won't now, because the nature of what you do is quite overarching.
Yep.
You can get the flavour for that. So one thing I didn't mention at the discovery piece is values,
Mhm.
right? Like that's an important match. And when you're chatting to potential service partners that you're going to refer in, get the feeling of how collaborative they are. If they're excited about what you do and they're talking about their networks, there's a bigger chance that they're then going to do that. And then, like Satna put in the chat, you can incentivize them if you think that's going to be something that might inspire them to do so. Then you can absolutely have that conversation. But typically, referral partners and service partners typically don't overlap that.
Bit of a one-way street with direction.
Yeah. So I would just, I doubt it's ever going to be even, but I would just go with your gut. If these feel like people that are going to connect and
Good people.
kind of get that feel from people. Yeah.
Good. Right. Go with gut. I like that idea.
Yeah. There's a lot to be said about that. It's a personal relationship. Like for all the processes in the world, whether it's partnerships or referrals, gut feel still huge. Yeah. There's all sorts of science, isn't there, about just how much, just like it is actually our second brain. There's almost as many neuroreceptors and all this, but yeah, go with the gut.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Right, Ripley's question. Hi Dave, quick question. With B2C, asking clients for referrals and offering financial incentives, where do you stand with this? I currently do, but it can feel like people aren't too interested in the financial reward and it might change the dynamic of the conversation. Yeah, so B2C. So one thing you can do with existing customers is give them more of what they want. Now, I know that's a little bit harder with you potentially, because they're not after a mortgage right away again, right? So that becomes a bit trickier. But if you are in a B2C space and it is a more transactional product or ongoing service, it's what more can you add them? Is there a tag on service? Because then it doesn't feel as icky. They're getting more of something that they already want. This also works really well with community in business. If you've got, a couple of the membership organizations I'm a part of, if you refer someone in and they stay, then you get a month free membership kind of thing. And that feels all right. Or they do a financial thing that matches that. One of the things that can come up often in the B2C space is that, in fact, I'm going to use Rondi as an example because she brought this up on my referral cohort. I think it was Rondi, where they were referred into a roofing company or something, and they didn't do a great job, but also that ickiness of the financial piece can come into play. I think in the B2C space, offering something for the person that makes the introduction and the person that gets introduced is a nice place to be, right? So if you introduce someone to me, there's a discount on my fee. Or if you're a restaurant, that anyone you refer to us that comes with your voucher gets a free bottle of wine, and you get a free bottle of wine. That splitting the thing both ways, I think, is probably the way to do it. Cool. Anyone else? No? Well, at 3 minutes to 1 then, I'm going to thank you for being such a wonderful audience. It's nice to have such a high percentage of people with their cameras on. I appreciate those that don't, by the way, completely. But have a wonderful end to your week. You'll get a follow-up email from me later on this afternoon. If anyone wants to chat about the group program or anything else, please do. There is a referral. My next webinar is on more referrals from your clients, expect referrals more often. There'll be details of that on the email as well, but it's the 11th of June. Have a wonderful end to your week, everyone. Cheers.